My brothers and sisters, please make into the main hall. We are starting in a minute or two.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أناكهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مكبهون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر خشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب عليم قالوا طائركم معكم إن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كما أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها هبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسله منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز الأليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالأرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومطاء إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا أنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في السور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مركدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم آهد إليكم يا بني آدم أن لا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لتمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنا يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نؤمره ننكس في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محذرون فلا يهزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم ير الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحيي الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون
اللهم صل على Muhammad Ali Muhammad. Surah Yasin was recited and Surah Fatih is requested for all the following marhumins. All marhumins of Dr. Jafar Kazmi and his and family, for marhum Jafar Fazal, marhuma Rehana Khalfan, for marhum means of Ali Bhai Rajbhai family, marhum Hassan Ali Ali Bhai, marhum Rubab Bhai Hassan Ali, marhum Nur Ali Ali Bhai, marhum Muhammad Hirji, marhum Hasina Hirji, marhum Asghar Ali Hassan Ali, marhum means of Manasya family, marhum Zamir Haidar, مرحوم شلينا دوجي كرمالي أن كل أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات سورة المباركة الفاتحة. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إني أسألك وأتوجه إليك بنبيك نبي الرحمة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. يا أبا القاسم يا رسول الله يا إمام الرحمة يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا. يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين يا علي بن أبي طالب يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا. يا فاطمة الزهراء يا بنت محمد يا قرة عين الرسول يا سيدتنا ومولاتنا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيهة عند الله اشفعي لنا. يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها المجتبى يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا. يا أبا عبد الله يا حسين بن علي أيها الشهيد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا. يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن الحسين يا زين العابدين يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي، أيها الباقر يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله، يا أبا عبد الله يا جعفر بن محمد، أيها الصادق يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله، يا أبا الحسن يا موسى بن جعفر، أيها الكاظم يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى، أيها الرضا يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا، يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي، أيها التقي الجواد يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا، يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن محمد، أيها الهادي النقي يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا، يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي، أيها الزكي العسكري يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا، يا وصي الحسن والخلف الحجة، أيها القائم والمنتظر المهدي يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا التماس يا سادتي وموالي إني توجهت بكم أئمتي وعدتي ليوم فقري وحاجتي إلى الله وتوسلت بكم إلى الله واستشفعت بكم إلى الله فاشفعوا لي عند الله واستنقذوني من ذنوبي عند الله فإنكم وسيلتي إلى الله وبحبكم وبقربكم أرجو نجاة من الله فكونوا عند الله رجائي يا سادتي يا أولياء الله صلى الله عليهم أجمعين ولعن الله أعداء الله الظالمين من الأولين والآخرين آمين رب العالمين.
صلوا على النبي. چودہ علم ایک مشکیزہ بے شیر کا ایک ننھا جھولا دو بالیاں چھوٹی بیوی کی ایک شمع جلا کر تم رکھنا اور یاد میں ہو ایک دولہا کی کچھ مہندی کنگنا اور صحرا گھر میں یوں ازا خانہ ہو سجا پاؤ گے بہت زہرا کی دعا پاؤ گے بہت زہرا کی دعا زہرا کی دعا پانا سجانا زخانہ زہرا کی سب مل کے زہرا کی دعا پانا سجانا زخانہ زہرا کی دعا پانا سجانا زخانہ اے اہل عزا اے شاہ ہدا اس دہر میں جب تک ہو زندہ تہذیب عزاداری ہے یہی دو کام ضروری تم کرنا دو کام ضروری تم کرنا مجلس میں چلے آنا سجانا زخانہ زہرا کی دعا پانا سجانا زخانہ بے دست ہوا سقا لیکن اس نے نہ علم کو جھکنے دیا پہچان ازاں خانہ ہے علم، پیغام یہی عباس کا تھا، پیغام یہی عباس کا تھا۔ دنیا سے نہ گھبرانا، سجانا خانہ زہرا کی، دعا پانا سجانا خانہ۔ جس وقت چھدا تھا مشرقی ذا، جب آئی خبر غازی نہ رہا، کچھ کوزے پیاسے بچوں کے ہاتھوں سے گرے اور ٹوٹ گئے، ہاتھوں سے گرے اور ٹوٹ گئے۔ کچھ کوزے بھی رکھوانا، سجانا خانہ زہرا کی، دعا پانا سجانا خانہ۔ شبیر یہ زینب سے بولے، کچھ کام ابھی بھی باقی ہے، ظالم جو شہیدوں کے سر دے، وہ پہلے اذانے میں سجے، وہ پہلے اذانے میں سجے۔ جب شام بہن جانا، سجانا خانہ زہرا کی، دعا پانا سجانا خانہ زہرا کی، دعا پانا سجانا خانہ۔ اور محمد و آل محمد صلوات۔
ایک اور صلوات پڑھ دیجئے محمد و آل محمد۔ برائے تاجیر ظہور امام زمانہ بلند تر صلوات۔
تو بڑی سخی ہے فاطمہ، تو بڑی سخی ہے فاطمہ،
مل کے پڑھے۔
تو بڑی سخی ہے فاطمہ، 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 محسن علی ہے فاطمہ، تو بڑی سخی ہے فاطمہ، تو بڑی سخی ہے فاطمہ، تو بڑی۔ اور لا الہ جھومنے لگا، لا الہ جھومنے لگا، سجدہ کر رہی ہے فاطمہ، سجدہ کر رہی ہے فاطمہ، تو بڑی سخی ہے فاطمہ، تو بڑی سخی ہے فاطمہ۔ اور مصطفیٰ کو مانگنا پڑا، مصطفیٰ کو مانگنا پڑا، تب کہیں ملی ہے فاطمہ، تب کہیں ملی ہے فاطمہ،
تو بڑی سخی ہے فاطمہ، تو بڑی اور جائے گا جنا میں کیسے شیخ، جائے گا جنا میں کیسے شیخ، در پہ ہی کھڑی ہے فاطمہ، در پہ ہی کھڑی ہے فاطمہ، تو بڑی سخی ہے فاطمہ، تو بڑی سخی ہے۔ اور اس شعر پہ خاص توجہ چاہوں گا، کیا تقابل امہات سے، کیا تقابل امہات سے، کیا تقابل امہات سے، ماں رسول کی ہے فاطمہ، ماں رسول کی ہے فاطمہ، تو بڑی سخی ہے فاطمہ، تو بڑی سخی ہے۔ اختیار کن کے باوجود، اختیار کن کے باوجود، چکی پیستی ہے فاطمہ، چکی پیستی ہے فاطمہ، تو بڑی سخی ہے فاطمہ، تو بڑی سخی ہے فاطمہ۔ مقطع پیش کر رہا ہوں، میر تیغ مرتضیٰ کے ساتھ، میر تیغ مرتضیٰ کے ساتھ، عرش پر پلی ہے فاطمہ، عرش پر پلی ہے فاطمہ، تو بڑی سخی 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 ہے فاطمہ۔ بن محمد وآل محمد بلندر صلوات۔ ایک دعائیہ کلام، اس کے بعد مصائبی کلام پیش کروں گا۔ دعا کرو کہ کوئی، دعا کرو کہ کوئی معجزہ دکھائے حسین، پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا بلائے حسین، دعا کرو کہ کوئی معجزہ دکھائے حسین، پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا بلائے حسین، نصیب جلد مجھے شاہ کی زیارت ہو، مجھے بھی کاش کسی شب میں یہ بشارت ہو، چلو اٹھو کہ تمہیں آج لینے آئے حسین، پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا بلائے حسین۔ مل کے پڑھے، دعا کرو کہ کوئی معجزہ دکھائے حسین، پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا بلائے۔ اور جاروب کش اس کو کہتے ہیں جہاں پہ وہ جھاڑو کا صاف کرتا ہے، وہ جس کا خانہ کعبہ طواف کرتا ہے، وہ جس کی جالیاں جبریل صاف کرتا ہے، وہاں کا مجھے کو بھی جاروب کش بنا حسین پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا بلائے حسین دعا کرو کہ کوئی معجزہ دکھائے حسین پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا ہٹے گا جیسے ہی آنکھوں سے اشک کا پردہ کروں گا روضہ سرور پہ شکر کا سجدہ میرا نصیب جو ایک بار پھر جگائے حسین پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا اور حاصل کلام شعر پیش کراؤں وہ جس کو بانٹنا چاہے وہ بانٹ دے جنت مجھے خدا کی قسم خلد سے نہیں رغبت میرا تو کر وہ بلا میرا تو کر وہ بلا میں ہی گھر بنائے حسین پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا بلائے اور جری جہاں کو بتا دو جو ہو سکے کر لے ہمارا خون بہائے ہمیں شہید کرے مگر نہ چھوڑیں گے آکاش یہ عزائے حسین پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا بلائے حسین دعا کرو کہ کوئی معجزہ دکھائے حسین پھر ایک بار ہمیں کربلا بلائے حسین محمد وآل محمد بلند تر ایک اور بیدار سلوات پڑھ دیجیے محمد وآل محمد ہائے بابا ہائے بابا تیری زہرا پہ مصیبت کی گھڑی ہے تیری زہرا پہ مصیبت کی گھڑی ہے کیسے دروازہ ہٹاؤں کیسے محسن کو بچاؤں اور سانس سینے میں رکی ہے تیری زہرا پہ مصیبت کی گھڑی ہے کبھی دربار میں پیشی کو بلاتے ہیں ہمیں کبھی دروازے پہ آ کے ستاتے ہیں ہمیں اور میرے یہ پھول سے بچے پوچھتے ہیں یہی مجھ سے کیا خطا ہم سے ہوئی ہے تیری زہرا پہ مصیبت کی گھڑی ہے جب سے حسنین کے بابا سے سنا ہے مجھ کو اب کوئی مدینے میں نہیں کرتا سلام، کب سے یہ حال ہے میرا، اپنا غم بھول کے بابا، بس مجھے فکر علی ہے۔ تیری زہرا پہ مصیبت کی گھڑی ہے، یہ اذیت یہ خاموشی نہیں دیکھی جاتی، مر مجھ سے تنہائی علی کی نہیں دیکھی جاتی، تیرا پیغام سنانے حق ولایت کا بتانے، زہرا گھر گھر میں گئی ہے، اور تیری امت نے بنا دی ہے، تیری امت نے بنا دی ہے یہ حالت بابا، اور کوئی پسلی بھی نہیں میری سلامت بابا، سانس لیتی ہوں میں جس دم رکنے لگتا ہے میرا دم، صرف مرنے کی کمی ہے، تیری زہرا پہ مصیبت کی گھڑی ہے، اور شرم آتی ہے بھلا تم کو بابا، شرم آتی ہے بھلا تم کو، بتاؤں کیسے، ارے یہ تماچے کے نشان تم کو دکھاؤں کیسے، ارے تم نہ پہچان سکو گے، دیکھ کر مجھ سے کہو گے کیا میری زہرا یہی ہے، تیری زہرا پہ مصیبت کی گھڑی ہے، تیری زہرا پہ مصیبت کی گھڑی ہے، بر محمد وآل محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم۔
Respected elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Just a few quick reminders. Again, this Thursday will be the World Federation elections. We did send out an email earlier which summarized different candidates and summaries of their goals and visions for the next 3 years. So please take a look at that. The hours that we'll have the poll available will be from 7:30 to 9:30 in the evening. So it coincides with our Thursday evening program. A couple other reminders on some events that are coming up. This Friday, we have a special seminar. We have a representative coming here from the American Lung Association to deal with something that's kind of a growing trend around vaping and some of these e-cigarettes. So it's a very educational seminar.
great for children and parents to learn, um, and hopefully to convince some of those who are on using these devices to also attend and learn about some of the risks that you are taking using these devices again. So again, that program begins at 7 p.m. It'll be here in the multi-purpose hall. It's for gents and ladies, young and old alike. I think we've also sent some invitations out to the other members of the community here in terms of the other mosques and associations that we have. There will be dinner served after the program. Also, February 8th is the rescheduled interfaith program. The discussion that we had at the panel a few weeks ago that was canceled due to snow was rescheduled to February 8th. This is the interfaith discussion on raising children in these challenging times. So we have a diverse interfaith panel that'll be presenting for that. Also, February 14th, based on the moon sighting, will be the Wiladat of Sayyida Fatima alayhi salam. We have a special program that weekend as well. We have Hajj Hussein Sharara coming from Dearborn, Michigan. For those of you who may not know him, he is one of the folks or one of the main individuals supporting Hasnain Rajbali with Camp Taha and as well the Wise Academy. So he'll be our guest lecturer here on February 14th, which is Friday. And then we have a series of parent and youth workshops, both Saturday and Sunday. So more details on that to follow. Also a reminder, again, is that we're in the new year. Your annual membership dues are now expected to be remitted. If you have them available, please submit them to a member of the management committee, or you can also go online through the payment portal. Assalamu alaikum.
Also, a reminder: we outside in the vestibules we have some calendars that were sent from Shakhairi. There are some calendars and envelopes. Please do avail yourself if you want some. Let us all recite 5 times I Yujibu for all those who are sick, for the safety of the Muslims, for the safety of our holy places, and all those in need of du'as. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بر حبیب خدا ختم الانبیاء محمد و آل محمد صلوات.
For the wife of Sheikh Jalil and for your marhumin, for our marhumin, please recite Surah Al-Fatiha. Bismillah. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فوضوا أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ونعم المولى ونعم النصير. والصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على الرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد الذي سمي في السماء بأحمد وفي الأرض بأبي القاسم محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. وقل رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أما بعد، قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتاب الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إلا المودة في القربى. صدق الله العلي العظيم. زينوا مجالسكم بالصلوات على محمد وآل محمد. For the love of Rasulullah, صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. For the love of Fatima al-Zahra, صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. And for the hastening of the reappearance of Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman, صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. My respected elders, brothers and sisters in Iman, Salamun alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Question: what is fadak? Keep this question in the back of your mind, inshallah, we'll return to it. We've covered a substantial amount of ground in the past few nights, and we are concluding tonight. And tonight ends up being a culmination of all the topics that we've discussed. Because we began and we started understanding Fatima al-Zahra from two lenses. One, from a worldly lens, how she gives us guidance and she completes the message of Rasulullah. Because Rasulullah was a male. And on Yawm al-Qiyamah, someone could have come forward and said, Ya Rasulullah, someone who's a female, that how are you telling me that what I should do because you are not a female? How can you empathize with me? How can you see my perspective? Someone could have done this on Yawm al-Qiyamah, they could have come forward with this allegation. And Rasulullah would not have a response. Therefore, the completion of Rasulullah is Fatima al-Zahra. This is one aspect. Also, Fatima al-Zahra as a daughter, a role model. Not only that, as a wife, a role model. Not only that, as a mother, a role model. But then we continued and we said, not only you cannot understand Fatima al-Zahra comprehensively through a worldly lens. You must use another lens, the lens of the heart, the lens of the other world, the other realm, to understand who she really is. Because her existence is a secret of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth. And we'll elaborate on that inshallah tonight. We discussed the concept of a drift in society. That my society, whether I like it or not, takes me in a particular direction. Sometimes that direction's a good direction. Sometimes that direction's not the best of directions. Sometimes that direction is a medium direction. But no matter what, at every moment my society is pulling me one way or another. If you recall, I shared with you the research of Dr. Emil Durkheim in his book Le Suicide, where he said industrial economies, their suicide rate increases. All things constant. Now you ask the question, how is it possible that this occurs? This is what the data says. What's happening in the mind in an industrial economy, that drift of society, that environment is pushing people to feel lonelier, to feel more anxious, to feel more depressed, to feel like they don't have connections. There's a book called Lost Connections, if you're interested to find out more about this. In the past 50 years in America alone, loneliness has increased 100%. Doubled over a 50-year period. People feel lonely. They don't have connections. These digital devices, on one side, they're good. They're good for social change. They're good for putting forth a narrative that is not being given in the popular media, for example. The Arab Spring and other things. Perhaps it's good for that. However, but in the environment that many people are using, it's not good. And if you want to read on this, you can read books such as Hooked and other books that talk exactly about this. The triggers in the human mind. The power of habit. These concepts that our minds are being trained and addicted to certain things. And people feel lonely. The drift of society pulls us one way or another. But this drift is not new. Why? I say this because we live in a time and a place and an environment where today, when I speak out for justice, especially when I speak about the haqq of Zahra, people come forward and tell me that I am being divisive. Allahu Akbar. The drift of your society, the drift of your world has pulled you so far away from what was normal that now you think that when I read the verse for Zahra, that I'm being divisive? You have moved the goalpost. That's what's happened. You've moved the parameters. What's happened is your own scholars, our brothers in Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, I'm talking to them. The scholars of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah throughout history were men of integrity and honor. But I don't know what's going on in the modern era and the modern realm in the last 100 years. Because I come forward and I tell you, and I will give you divisive proof, definitive proof tonight, that unity does not mean conformity and unity does not mean compromise. And this is what I want to cover. Number one tonight. What does unity mean according to our scholars? What's the definition of unity? And why is it important? Why have our scholars emphasized it? But it's not unity in the sense that you and I think of it. This is one of the biggest problems that we're facing globally. The definition of what unity is and means has not been defined. And because the definition of what unity is has not been defined, people get afraid of the term. Because you have one thing in your mind, I have one thing in my mind. The third person has something else in their mind. That means the term unity must be defined. Number one. Number two, what is it that our ulama have urged us to do with respect to this? Number three, what was fadak? And why is it vital in Islamic history? And is fadak only about fadak or is there a deeper meaning behind fadak? What was it? What is fadak related to? What are those four elements that are part of your aqidah and my aqidah, and there is no compromise on them? Keep those in your mind. And what is the connection between fadak and what is the connection between Medina and Karbala? This is our focus for tonight, inshallah. And this is what we hope to cover in the brief moments we are together. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. As I begin, I must elaborate on this point and make it evidently clear. In light of the teachings of our ulama, our fuqaha, Sayyid Sistani and all our maraji, may Allah prolong all their lives, they have highly emphasized that we must implore unity amongst all Muslims. There's no doubt about it. Sayyid Sistani has been very clear that our brothers in Ahlul Sunnah, they are not someone who's separate. They are our own nafs. They are ourselves. Therefore, unity with them is part and parcel of our faith in our deen. However, what does this mean? Because I tell you, if you look at the history today, many people come forward and say with respect to Tashayyu and Shiaism, these are people who are innovators, this is an offshoot, a sect, things of this nature. And the dynamics are such, if you look at the majority and minority of the Muslim world, roughly 80 to 85% of the world is Ahlul Sunnah, and roughly 15 to 20% is Shia. Now, is there unity amongst Ahlul Sunnah within the different madhahib? That's another debate. But when you look at the dynamics, there's a clear majority of Ahlul Sunnah and there's a clear minority of Shia. Why is this significant? It wasn't always the case, necessarily. But there was a systematic genocide that took place against Shias throughout history. From the era of Banu Umayyah, throughout Banu Abbas, throughout the Ottomans, throughout the Mughals, throughout every era, there was a systematic oppression against Shias. Why? Because of the revolutionary message of Karbala and Imam al-Hussein. People were afraid. Rulers were afraid. They were afraid that if this Shiaism catches fire, if it catches steam, because the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam have told us, Inna liqatl al-Husayn hararatan fi qulub al-mu'minin la tabrud abada. Verily, for Hussein, there is a flame in the hearts of the believers that never extinguishes. And that flame is so powerful that it can topple the most oppressive regimes throughout history. Therefore, they've tried to suppress it. The Umayyads, they would butcher and massacre throughout history. I remind you, there was a time in history that they would not erect a wall in Baghdad until they would drain the blood of the Sayyida Hassani in cement. Read Tariq Baghdad, Tariq Damashq, read it. Sayyida Hassani, they would, you and I, we use water for cement, huh? They used to use blood. Not only that, they would squeeze the Sada in between the walls alive. Alive. Banu Abbas, go throughout the times. In Lebanon, have you read the history of Lebanon? Allahu Akbar. There's a hill where they used to go and they used to attack women from the line of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And they used to do the most things I cannot say on the minbar. And these women, these ladies, to protect their honor, they would jump off the hill, off the edge, off the ledge. The Ottomans, Sultan Selim, Sultan Murad, one day he asks a fatwa to be written. I want to get rid of all the Shias. They can be a problem for me. Write a fatwa for me. Remember, the impact of the ruler and the scholar. This is a very old history. The poet says, Jisko bhi sheikh o shah ne hukme khuda diya qarar, हमने नहीं किया वो काम, हाँ बखुदा नहीं किया, और निस्बत इल्म है बहुत, हाकिम वक्त को अजीज, उसने तो कारे जहल भी बे उलमा नहीं किया. This is the history of rulers and scholars. What happened? They would say, I need this to be done. They would call one religious scholar, quote unquote, say, I need you to write this fatwa for me. If he writes it, he's good to go. He'll get a reward. If he doesn't, at some point there's an off with your head, next one in line. By the way, this is not only in Islam, huh? How was the Anglican Church formed in England, huh? Henry VIII, huh? He wanted to divorce his wife. Catholic Church said what? No way, not on our watch. He said, to what with you? I'll form my own church. Huh? This has been happening throughout history. Same thing happened in Ottoman era. He said that I want a fatwa. One person writes the fatwa, 70,000 Shias captured, 40,000 beheaded the next day, 30,000 imprisoned until death. Do you know which difficulty Shiaism has gone through to reach you and I? And then people come forward and tell me I should compromise my belief system. Allahu Akbar. My family has given blood. Our families have given blood. You know how many people here have been exiled throughout history? And now I speak for Fatima al-Zahra and I'm the person to blame? La ilaha illallah. How the times shift. How the tide turns. What world we live in. Muslims don't know their own history in our world. Al-Azhar University, the center of knowledge, was called Al-Zahra University, founded by the Fatimid dynasty. Salahuddin Ayyubi comes, turns it over. It was founded, established by, we were the centers of knowledge. But no one tells that history. Do you know through which difficulty? Do you know the history of Shaheed al-Awwal? Do you know the history of Shaheed al-Thani? Shaheed, do you know these? These people who wrote books sometimes in their blood. Shaheed al-Awwal writes al-Lum'a. Shaheed al-Thani, the second martyr, he writes al-Lum'a al-Damashqiyya, he writes Sharh al-Lum'a. You know, he wrote it on a book, they beheaded him and threw him overboard. Allahu Akbar. You know? Shaheed al-Thalith. You know Shaheed al-Thalith? It's not only in the not only in the Middle East. In India as well, people have given lives. You know Shaheed al-Thalith? He has a mazar in Agra, in India, not far from the Taj Mahal. Do you know what his history was? He was the Chief Justice, Qadi Nurullah Shushtari. My youth especially, inscribe these names on your heart. These people have given blood for this faith. It would be a dishonor if we don't remember these personalities. Ahlul Bayt are very high. Do you know Qadi Nurullah Shushtari was the head Chief Justice of the Mughals? Do you know what happened? The Mughals were in strife with the Safavids. They thought that perhaps he is Shia. Because you know why? Because he said Ali alayhi salam in a gathering. He was Shia. He said Ali alayhi salam. Then our whole court got up. How did he say Ali alayhi salam? You know, it's only for Rasulullah. They got a whole gathering. They said, we must punish him. This is wrong. There was a whole gathering. At that point in time, when they gathered, there was a poet there in the gathering because they were going to execute. At that point in time, this poet came forward and he said two lines, the power of poetry. He said, Gar lahmu ka lahmi qawle nabawi hai. Gar lahmu ka lahmi qawle nabawi hai. He said that if lahmu ka lahmi, that Rasulullah said that his flesh is my flesh. If Rasulullah said that, then Salli ala, without saying alayhi salam, Ali's name, it is disrespect. They are here. At that point in time, they said he's got a point. At that point, when they said this, they said we spare him. But this was a real scholar of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. He said, you're going to live 1 or 2 years of life more, hiding your belief, hiding your faith? At what level? At what price? You know, the rules change. Our ulama, sometimes we're very quick to criticize our ulama, you know. Sometimes pause it for a moment before you criticize the ulama. Yes, maybe the people around, maybe you may have a problem with the people who are in the administration, I don't know. But the alim himself, be very careful. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects the sincere ones. And on Yawm al-Qiyamah they may ask you, why? Because sincerity is something that's very difficult to find in our world. He doubled down and he wrote a book that is famous today until history. A book called Ihqaqul Haq. He said, you know what? He said, I'm going to live a few more years. What's the point? I'm going to defend my faith and die. I don't care. Kill me. He wrote Ahqaqul Haq, where he recited and he wrote the Fadail of Amir al-Mu'mineen and the defended Tashayyu. They took him, they slaughtered him, they threw him away for 3 days. He didn't get ghusl and kafan. Fatima al-Zahra came in the dream of scholars and said, my son is bleeding to death and he is left in the trash. Go and bury him. This is Shaheed Thalith, Qadi Nurullah Shushtari. He has a malar in Agra. Go there. My maternal side descends from that side. It was a Musavi Sadat. These people gave big blood. You know, be very careful before you criticize an alim. True story. The rules change for an alim. When you and I, if our life is on the line because we're normal individuals, we can go in taqiyya and we can hide our belief. But if a marja taqleed in a circumstance, if tashayyu is on the line, the rule changes for him. That person cannot have the liberty that you and I have. That person in certain circumstances must give their life. Ayatollah Khouei, may Allah bless his soul, it was known. You know, in certain communities, for example, in the Gulf, it's very common. In the Arab countries, it's very common. Khums is separate. It's very common for people to give ulama a gift, a hadiyah, in addition to khums and things of this nature. So people, for example, when they would come to Sayyid Khouei, rahmatullahi alayhi, may Allah bless him, they would come to him and they would say, they would give khums separate, and they would come to him and they would give him a gift. And he would say, what is this for? Is this khums? He said, no. This is a gift for who? For you specifically. For example, it was known he had a car. Someone from the Gulf had given him a Mercedes. And he had kept it. They had particularly given him a gift for himself. And he kept it. There's nothing wrong with this in Islam. It was a gift that was given. In Sayyid Khouei's house, there was a worker who used to work in his house. And after he died, he came into the house of Sayyid Sistani. This is verified from the family, directly from. He came into the house. He was very close to the family. They asked him, they said, can I ask you a question? Someone from the Khouei family asked, can I ask you a question? He said, yes. He said, people bring gifts to Sayyid Sistani the same way they bring to Sayyid Khouei? He said, yes. He said, yes. He said, what happens? He said, between you and me? He said, Sayyid Khouei, as you know, you already know. He said, Sayyid Sistani asks, what is this? He says, they say this is a gift. He said, not khums, this is gift. Yes. For who? For you, Sayyid. Specifically for you. He says, as soon as they leave, he calls me. He says, do you know what he does? He said, what? He says, bring my register, please. He says, okay. He says, as soon as he gets the register, he says, this amount here. He says, I asked, what's this list? He says, this is the list of all of the poor people in Najaf. He says he does not keep a dime for himself. He distributes all of it before the person even leaves the vicinity of their proximity. Be very careful before you criticize. Know the facts. I'm not saying there shouldn't be accountability. Certainly there should be accountability. I'm in favor of accountability. But before you ask the alim, the marja, understand the sacrifice that these ulama have made for tashayyu. Blood has been spilled. Difficulties have been done. Tremendous things have happened. I say this because we live in an environment where our youth are being confused because they don't know the reality of the matter. I want to address what is unity and what is the dynamics of it and what is the definition of it. Shaheed Mutahari. Shaheed Mutahari is one of those scholars who has done a tremendous amount, and he's one of the futurists in terms of looking at where the trajectory of society is going. If you read his books until now, they seem fresh in many capacities. But he used to say that we must emphasize Ghadir. Very good point. Wonderful point. But people came to him and they said, Agha, they said that you are emphasizing Ghadir. You are focusing on Ghadir. But does this not cause disunity? It's a good point. It's an interesting point. It's a very interesting point. And I want to expand on this point. Because at many times people say, unity, unity, unity. It's good. Ahlul Bayt have said it. Maraji have said it. We should do it. But what does unity mean? He said, is Ghadir contradicting unity? He said, let us define unity. He says, number one, the first possibility of what unity is, there's one of three possibilities. He said the first possibility of what the definition of unity in Islam is, that the majority opinion gets imposed on the minority. He said, for example, you have the Ahl Sunnah, let's say for now, for example's sake, that they are united. Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali, let's say for example, they're all one. And the rest minority are Shia, for example. The first possibility is the majority opinion gets imposed on the minority. That is, Shia imposed on Sunnah, so there's only one sect left, Sunni Islam. Example. He said this is the first scenario. Second scenario is that you take whatever is common between the majority and the minority, whatever is common, you combine it, you remove the differences, and you create one new sect. You take the Shia and you combine it with the Sunni, you create a new sect, call it Sushi. Huh? You create a Sushi sect, new sect, huh? That's the second possibility. Third possibility is that I say that unity does not have to do with aqidah. It does not have to do with creed. It does not have to do with belief. It does not have to do with anything like that. I say, the third possibility is I say that unity, I say that anyone who is a Muslim, their life, liberty, honor, and dignity is sacred. In particular, their life. And if I accept that third definition, that means I will not do takfir on someone else. I will not say they're a kafir. And if I do not do takfir on them, that means I will not spill the innocent blood of innocent individuals the same way Allah terrorist groups today, who are killing Muslims first and then others second. He said the first opportunity, the first situation where the majority opinion is imposed on the minority will never accept. Will the Shia accept? Or whatever the minority group is? They won't accept. I mean, you don't even have to use Shia Islam, by the way, or Sunni Islam. You can use this example in any religion. You can use in Protestant, Catholic, same concept. That minority, whoever it is, will not accept. That's the first one. So the first situation is not a possibility. He said the second ability, or the second option, where you take the commonalities and you remove the differences, he said it sounds very good in theory, but it doesn't work in practice, because the differences exist for really good reasons according to the parties. So the second one will not work either. So the sushi option doesn't work either. And the third situation, he said the third one, where I say the life, property, honor, and dignity of a Muslim is sacred, he says that is the only option that works. Therefore, the definition of unity is that unity does not mean compromise. Unity does not mean conformity. Unity means that I say anyone who's a Muslim, their life, honor, property, and dignity is sacred. Why? Because many times people come forward and say, they become worried whenever we have intra-faiths. I was in Minnesota, I was in the Midwest, and we had an interfaith gathering. It's very interesting. I was speaking there, and at the interfaith gathering afterwards, many of the attendees said, we were a bit reluctant to come. And they said, why? We said, why? And they said, they opened up to us. They said, we thought we were going to get preached to. We thought that you were going to try to convert us, for example. And he said, after we heard your message, the universal message, after we heard that, we were more enticed and we actually wanted to listen more. But this doesn't happen unless you lay the framework to help people understand. I'm not trying to convert you, and nor should you expect me to convert your way. We're just trying to come together the same way Amir al-Mu'mineen said, either your brother in faith or your equal in humanity. You see, there was a beautiful example of this. Allama Ayatollah Arif al-Husseini. Many of the elders will remember Arif al-Husseini. Arif al-Husseini was the person who was following in the footsteps of Sayyid Khomeini in Pakistan. Now, Pakistan is a very interesting example because in the Muslim world, Pakistan has the second highest population of Sunni Muslims, and it also has the second highest population of Shia Muslims. After Indonesia, it has the second highest population of Sunni Muslims, and after Iran, it has the second highest population of Shia Muslims, barring India, which is not a Muslim state. In this environment, Allama Arif al-Husseini used to work very, very hard for ittihad bain al-Muslimin, unity amongst Muslims. He was constantly striving and working to make sure that Muslims united, time and time again. But what happened? One day, they had a Muslim unity gathering, a conference. When they had a Muslim unity gathering and conference, when they came together, they all came together, and when the time for Salah came, the time for Adhan came, Allama Arif al-Husseini, he asked, Arif al-Husseini is that person who when he died, Sayyid Khomeini said, they've killed my son. He wept for him bitterly. When this happened, this Allama Arif, he asked a Shia brother to stand up and recite the Adhan. When he did this, the Shia brother stood up and then he began to recite the Adhan. Huge gathering, packed. Now, he starts Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. Then he says, and he skips Ashhadu anna Aliyan Waliyullah. Now, is Azan wajib? Keep that to the side for 1 second. Is Ashhadu anna Aliyan Waliyullah part of Adhan? Keep that to the side for 1 second. Is this compromise or not? Keep that to a side. And this is the view of Allama Arif. If you have a problem with it, take it up with him on Yawm al-Qiyamah. I'm sharing what happened. At that point in time, when he noticed this man skipped Ashhadu anna Aliyan Waliyullah, he stopped him right there in front of the guy. He said, what happened? What did you just do? He said, it's a unity gathering. There's Muslims of all kinds. I thought for unity, I'll skip it. He said, hold on just a second. He stood up, faced the crowd, and looked at the crowd. He said, I want to make one thing clear. We are here for unity. You are our brothers. I am your brother. We are brothers. But I want everyone to understand that unity does not mean compromise. I am a Shia. I will die a Shia. You are a Sunni. You remain a Sunni. I have no problem. This is my line of Tashayyu'. This is my line of Shiaism. I will not move 1 inch back from it. Unity does not mean compromise. This is an evident thing. Our youth are getting confused today. I tell you how many emails I get, how many phone calls I get from parents who've sent their children off to universities. They get involved in MSAs. They drift that environment. They start saying, is Shiaism right? Because no one's addressing these core issues. People are saying the Shias are now the people who are causing strife. The people are saying the Shias are the people who are going astray. Why do we talk about history? We talk about history because the facts are in history. And they're not from our books, they're from your books. If I don't tell the truth and I don't speak haqq, what happens is my next generations don't know what happened and I lose my faith because this has happened in history. Do you know how the theory of the Sufism? There is a strong theory that the Sufi movement, if you read it historically, Sufis were actually Shias who were an intergenerational taqiyya. Because of the constant oppression that they faced, they were originally, that's why there are Sadat, there are Sayyids who trace their lineage back to Rasulullah who are Sunni Sufis. Because what happened? They were persecuted at such a level that they said, now we will be, for example, we will be in taqiyya as Sufis. And then 1 generation this happened, 2nd generation this happened, 3rd generation, 4 generations down, the grandchildren, great-grandchildren, they don't know what their original grandparents were. They've lost their identity. They've lost who they were. They've lost what's happened. Therefore, I come forward and tell you not to be divisive. I'm trying to lay a parameter to say what is truth. So our next generations know. I've already told you when people left the Middle East to go towards Persia, for example, and then towards India, and then throughout the globe, when they were fleeing to save their lives in exile throughout history, leaving the atrocities of Banu Umayyah, the atrocities of Banu Abbas, the atrocities of all of those different lines. What did they take with them? Did they take their money? They took their books in their hands and their aqidah in their hearts. Ask the people in your community even, not don't go too far. People when they fled from Uganda even took their books. They didn't take property. This is not that long ago. Understand and value the treasure you and I have. The Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, they are that treasure that is trying to strive and give us peace and tranquility in our lives. Fatima al-Zahra was that peace and tranquility of the household. As a daughter, as a wife, as a mother. For my fathers here, researchers say 10 minutes. Just spend 10 minutes to look at life through the lens of your daughter's eyes. That will do more for your daughter and your relationship than anything else. Just see what life is like for her. For 10 minutes, think, what is her life like? What is environment like? The clothes that people wear have an impact. The environment that people live in has an impact. Be vigilant for these things. Be mindful of these things. They change the entire dynamics of our society. And for the husbands here, I say two things. I mentioned to you the four things, the four horsemen of doom last night, if you remember. Criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, and contempt. What's the solution? The solution is two traits: kindness and generosity. Adopt these in your relationships, you'll go very far in life. Very far. Generosity doesn't always mean the material things, the money. That doesn't go very far, trust me. It doesn't go that far. Rasulullah says a husband who tells his wife, I love you, that statement never leaves her heart. Generosity with words. Studies at Arizona State University and many universities have found, and they asked them, do you appreciate what your spouse does for you? Do you appreciate what your loved one does for you? The cleaning, the chores, the cooking, whatever they may be doing, looking after the kids, do you appreciate it? They all said yes. They said, do you tell them? The next question, do you tell them that you appreciate them? They all said no. They said, then how is that person supposed to know? So what the researchers deduced was people appreciate their loved ones, but they don't express it. Yes? In our modern world, my youth know we lost a celebrity athlete not too long ago, huh? How fickle is life? How short is life? Someone who's only 41 years old, what is that? Life goes by in an instant. We have no guarantees on life. Tell the people that you love in your life, tell them you love them. The number one regret that people have on their dying bed is that they don't spend enough time with their loved ones, with their family and friends. They don't tell the people that they love them. The Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam were tabib al-nufus. They were doctors of the heart. They were doctors of the spirits. Adopt that in your life. This is why we defend the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Because they are the fountain of all the good that we do in our lives. They are the spring of all the good that we do in our lives. The akhlaq, the morals, the ethics, all comes from them. This is why I am here to defend Sayyidatun Nisa al-Alameen. Because this is not our words. This is not my words. All Muslims, Sunni, Shia, doesn't matter, unanimously agree that Rasulullah said, Fatima is Sayyidatun Nisa al-Alameen. She is the lady and the leader of all of the women of the universe. Allah. Of all women. Fatima. So therefore this defense is not just for Shias. This is for all Muslims. For the world at large. Fatima al-Zahra is not to be taken lightly. I say this because Ayatullah Najafi Marashi, don't take my word for it, huh? Do you know Ayatollah Najafi Marashi? Ayatollah Najafi Marashi has the largest library in Asia. The largest library in the world, the Library of Congress. The largest library in Asia, the Najafi Marashi Library. You know Ayatollah Najafi Marashi, do you know what extent he went through in order for you and I to be able to get Islam, to protect Islam, to preserve Islam? He used to take loans from his students in order to take books on loan. Because at that time they used to have rare manuscripts. You know manuscript? You know, today you can type up a copy of a book. At that time you had to write by hand. And usually many times a book was in one rare form. When that book was in one rare form, he used to go and find in Cairo, and he would go to Lucknow, and he would go throughout Iraq and throughout Persia to find rare books. And when he would go, he would try to preserve them. They say to the extent that he went through such abject poverty that he used to eat the remnants of the watermelon skin. You know the pink part, the fruit of the watermelon? And then there's the green outer layer. Between that, the white part, he used to eat that. To the extent that they say that his skin began to get a green hue, a green color to it. That's how much poverty. This Ayatollah Najafi Marashi, who has read so many books, is saying something. And I want to share that with you. He wrote a will to his son. There were two wills. One was public, one was private. In this will, in the public one, he wrote 25 points. Never forget it. 3 of these points were directly related to Fatima al-Zahra. What were they? Directly. A person, imagine, who's read thousands, maybe tens of thousands of books. Allah knows how many pages. He's condensed everything he's learned in 25 points. He says 3 of them directly to Fatima al-Zahra. He says, number 1, my son, never neglect the tasbih of Fatima al-Zahra. Never forget. He says this will help you in the most difficult time. Rasulullah gave this to Fatima al-Zahra as an assistance. He says it will help you in the most difficult time. Don't take this tasbih lightly. It is a powerful tasbih. Number 1. He said, number 2, what? He said, my son, never forget in the qunut of salah to always recite بِحَقِّ فَاطِمَةَ وَأَبِيهَا وَبَعْلِهَا وَبَنِيهَا وَسِرُّ الْمُسْتَوْضِعَ فِيهَا أَن تُصَلِّ عَلَى مُحَمَّدٍ وَآلِ الطَّاهِرِينَ اللهم صل. He said, my son, never forget to recite in the qunut and say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by Fatima and her father and her husband and her sons and the secret with which she is buried. سر المستودع فيها. That secret will be known on Yawm al-Qiyamah. That secret will be known. He said, number 1, that. Number 2, this dua. Tasbih, then dua. He said, number 3, he says, my son, never ever forget and never ever neglect the sermon, the khutbah of Fadakiyya. The khutbah of Fadak, he said, the greatest linguists, the greatest scholars, the greatest adibs, the greatest linguists of the Arabic language have neglected this sermon and they have done a huge disservice to the religion and the language. Ayatollah Najafi Marashi, 3 things he says, never forget. Implement these in your life. Therefore I say, what was Fadak and what is the story of Fadak, so we can have an understanding of this, so none of our next generations are confused. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. What was Fadak? Many times people say Fadak was a garden. Fadak was in fact a piece of land that had 7 gardens on it. How was it obtained? In the 7th year of Hijrah, 7 years after the migration of Rasulullah from Mecca to Medina, what happened? What ensued and what took place was, in the battle of Khaybar, the Muslims had emerged victorious because of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Amir al-Mu'mineen delivers victory accepted by all Muslims for the Muslims in the 7th year of Hijrah at Khaybar. Afterwards, the Jews of Khaybar, they were, of course, not happy. By the way, when Islam or when the Quran says anything with respect to faith, such as Judaism or Christianity, Many times people ask the question, is Islam discriminating against these people? No. If you ask historians and experts in religion, such as Karen Armstrong, who I met, and others, they say that Islam in these circumstances was either talking about a particular individual or a particular tribe, not general. In fact, somebody may say these were the Zionists of Khaybar. That's a different argument. Nonetheless, but the general principle is when Islam says in the Quran, for example, you will find the nearest to you in terms of friendship are the Christians, the Nasara. This is a general principle. But in this instance, this issue is not a general principle against the Jews at all. No way. This was a particular tribe that just happened to be from a particular faith at that particular time. No way does Islam generally have something directly wrong with. Anyways, this is a side note. What happened? The people of Khaybar, after they had lost, they would lie in ambush and look at caravans. When caravans used to pass by their routes, they used to see who was a Muslim amongst them. When they used to see who was a Muslim amongst them, they would take them and they would kill them off as revenge and retaliation. This news reached Rasulullah. When this news reached Rasulullah, he heard that the Khaybarites are beginning to attack and ambush Muslims and killing innocent individuals. When he heard this, many times people come forward and say the Prophet always wanted to fight and whenever Rasulullah could solve the problem peacefully, he tried. Whenever he could have a treaty, he tried. War was always the last resort. At that point in time, Rasulullah received the news. He said, Ya Ali, call Ali. We say Ya Ali because Rasulullah used to say Ya Ali. At that point in time, Rasulullah says Ya Ali. He calls Ali. Ali comes. He says, Ya Ali, there is an issue with the Khaybarites. You know the ones that you defeated not too long ago? Can you go and speak to them? Can you talk some sense into them? See what's the matter. What are they doing? He said, very well, Ya Rasulullah. Amir al-Mu'mineen goes towards the Khaybarites. When Amir al-Mu'mineen goes towards the Khaybarites, when he gets closer to them, when he gets towards them, towards the Khaybarites, they see the person who killed Marhab, their champion. You would feel intimidated. They think he's coming to fight. Amir al-Mu'mineen addresses them. He says, what's the matter? What's going on? He said, we've heard that you are ambushing Muslims and killing innocent people. What's the matter? What's the situation? Do you want to fight? Do you want to fight again? Was the resolution at Khaybar not enough? The battle that we fought, what's the matter? They said, no, hold on, no, we don't want to fight anymore. They said, we're good. At that point in time, they said that Ali, tell Muhammad, tell your prophet, listen, we apologize, number one, for this, we will not do this, we'll stop doing this, number one. We apologize. Number two, we are willing to pay the jizya, the tax that is levied on non-Muslims in the Muslim state, we're willing to pay it. By the way, on a side note, many times people come forward and say, this is not fair, this is something that's discriminatory. If you knew the rules, you wouldn't say this. Why? Because a non-Muslim who pays the jizya in a Muslim state, war is exempt on them. Whereas it's not exempt on the Muslim. The Muslim must go and defend the non-Muslim. And the non-Muslim is not obligated to fight at all. But if you know the rules, it's very easy and fancy to misconstrue things. Nonetheless, they said, number one, we apologize. Number two, we are willing to pay the jizya. Number three, there is this land called Fadak that we own. It has 7 gardens on it. We gift it to your Prophet. We gift it. At that point in time, when it's gifted, it had 7 date palm orchards on it. If you had 1 date palm orchard at that time, you were set financially. At that point, Amir al-Mu'min says, very well, I accept, I will take the message back to Rasulullah. When he gets back, Rasulullah sees Amir al-Mu'mineen. When he sees Amir al-Mu'mineen, says, Salaamu alaykum wa alaykum as-salam. Said, Ya Ali, what happened? He said, Ya Rasulullah, I spoke to them. They said, number one, we apologize, this will not happen again. Number two, we are going to pay the jizya, we're going to pay the tax. And number three, there's a land of Fadak, which has 7 orchards on it. We gift this to you. Rasulullah then asked, he said, Ya Ali, did you draw your sword? He said, no. Did you fight? No. Is there any conflict? No. Why is this important? This is very important in Islamic law and Islamic history because in Islamic law, if you ask all Muslims, if there is a war that ensues, the Baytul Mal or Anfal that comes from it, 4/5 of it goes to the Muslims, 1/5 goes to Rasulullah. But if there is no bloodshed, there's no swords drawn, there's nothing, and the Muslims win automatically, all of that falls under the rule of fight. And fight goes all to Rasulullah. There was no bloodshed, no sword drawn, nothing happened at that point in time. When this happened, when this occurred, Rasulullah took Fadak on board, he took the jizya, he took the apology. What would happen was, when did this all become known? Remember four things. Four things are tied to your identity and my identity. Never forget them. After Rasulullah. Four things, and they're all connected. Number one, Ghadir. Never forget Ghadir. Number two, Fadak. Never forget Fadak. Number three, Karbala. Never forget Karbala. And number four, Zuhur of Sahib al-Asr wal Zaman. All of these are connected. Never forget them. Because if I don't speak out for the haqq of Zahra, I won't speak out for Karbala one day. And I won't speak out for Imam Sahib al-Asr wal Zaman. And you can backtrack the Zuhur to Karbala, to Fadak, to Saqifa, to Ghadir, in a direct linear line. Because if you know the history, you will know what happened. Because when did this become known? This became known after Saqifa of Banu Sa'ada. After Saqifa, what happened was, then certain people took on the leadership role. They said, we are not able to make ends meet economically. There are budgets, there are uniforms, we have to pay for the soldiers, we have to pay for their stipends, we have to pay for their expenses. How are all of these things being paid for? When they looked at the books, they realized that Rasulullah had a particular piece of land called Fadak, which he used to get 4 million dirham from, and used to spend all of it on the Muslims. They said, where is that land? They found out that Fatima Zahra has it in her possession. And she used to run the affairs of Fadak the same way that her mother used to run the affairs of her business. They said, we need this land. That's the only way we can do it. Allahu Akbar. Fatima Zahra, she was someone who knew Islam inside out. And there's a principle in Islam that you pay the wage of the laborer before their sweat dries. There were people who were there working on the fields of Fadak. Their wages had been stopped. They had usurped that property. They had usurped that land. Fatima Zahra received the news. When she received the news, she said, what happened? She says, this person, he took the land and he usurped it. She said, really? She decided to go and make the case. Now, when she decided to make the case, the important point to note here is there's two ways in which Fatima Zahra can enter into the masjid, into Masjid al-Nawawi. If you recall, there is one door that is her door that opens directly into the masjid. If you remember Dua Nidwa, وَسَدَّ الْأَبْوَابَ إِلَّا بَابَ, that all of the doors are to be closed except the door of Ali and Fatima. That was that door. Then the other door was the central door, the main door of Masjid al-Nabawi. She could have came from her house door, but she chose to come from the central door. Why? Ulama say, because if she came from her private door, people would say that we didn't see Fatima. They would say, she just came in, we didn't notice her. She got all of the women of Banu Hashim, she called Fizza, Asma, she asked all of them to gather around. She said, I am going to plead my case. When this happened, she got up and she proceeded towards the masjid. She went towards the central entrance and she saw the individual sitting there. Now, if anyone knows law here, you don't need to be the world's greatest barrister, you don't need to be the greatest attorney in the world. A very simple principle, that a person who is a defendant is not the judge on the case. There was a direct conflict of interest in this case from the get-go, because the person who's acting as the judge is also the defendant in the case against Fatima Zahra. And he's acting as judge, jury, and executioner. If anyone was to have any autonomy, and if anyone was supposed to be neutral, he should have courted another party. The same way Ali ibn Abi Talib was neutral in his affairs. This person acted as the jury and the judge and the executioner, although he was the defendant in the case. No judge, no court system would accept this. At this point in time, Fatima Zahra says, why was Fadak taken? He says, we have a saying, a hadith. That's what was said. We have a hadith. What's the hadith? The hadith is that your father, Rasulullah, he says that we, the prophets, do not inherit. We do not inherit and we do not leave behind inheritance. At that time, Fatima al-Zahra said, hold on a second. I have a written note here that this property was gifted to me by my father in his lifetime. Now, Rasulullah, he is known as Sadiq and Amin before the announcement of prophethood. Sadiq and Amin. What year did Khaybar happen? 7th year Hijrah. Rasulullah passed 11th year Hijrah. 4 years. This Rasulullah, aid, money had come as a gift from Bahrain during the time of Rasulullah. When it came to Rasulullah, Rasulullah took the money. He said, call all the poor widows and orphans at the city. Right now, it was the middle of the night. The people there said, Ya Rasulullah, you want to distribute the money? He said, yes. At this hour? He said, yes. Maybe they wanted some themselves, I don't know. Rasulullah at that point in time said, I'm going to distribute now. In the middle of the night? Rasulullah, wait till the morning. He said, can any of you here guarantee that I will live till tomorrow morning? Not a single person said anything. He said, allow me to do what I need to do. They called the poor, the widow, the orphans, and Rasulullah began to distribute amongst everyone. When he did this, at that point in time, then he went to sleep and rested. This Rasulullah, he doesn't know Islam, and he would usurp the property of Muslims for 4 years? La ilaha illallah. Fatima al-Zahra said, I have this gift. He says, we have this hadith from your father that the prophets do not inherit and do not leave inheritance. And then they said, do you have any witnesses? She said, yes, I have witnesses. Who are the witnesses? Says, Ali, my husband. Who else? Hassan. Who else? Hussein. Who else? Ayman. At that point in time, when they said this, they had a discussion. When they had a discussion, they came back. They said, Ali, we can't accept because he's your husband. He has a stake in this property. He said, Hassan, we can't accept. He has a stake. He's your son. Hussein, we can't accept. And Ayman, we can't accept because she's a woman. Half a witness. At that time, Ayman got up. Ayman was there. She said, I tell you, I am Ayman who Rasulullah said, for a woman, it is half the witness of a man, but for Ayman, she is the complete witness of 2 women and 1 man. They rejected. Allahu Akbar. At that point in time, they came back and said, we have a hadith from Rasulullah. And she said, who's the witness of that hadith? Who's the witness of this hadith that you're saying that Rasulullah said that we the prophets don't inherit and leave behind inheritance? He says, Rasulullah said this in my ear. She said, very well. At that point in time, she didn't take back the witnesses. She could have brought more witnesses. She could have said Salman, Abu Dhar, Miqdad, Ammar. She could have said, I have more witnesses. She didn't do that. She said, very well. You're saying this, the prophets don't leave inheritance, right? Stay there, don't move. At that point in time, she says, this is what you're saying? Said, yes. Very well. Then she begins to recite Quran. Then she recites verse after verse. She says, وَآتِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى حَقَّهُ, and give the near ones their right. And then she says, what's your response to that? He says that we have this hadith. He repeats the same hadith. Then she goes back and she says, وَوَرِثَ سُلَيْمَانَ Dawood. The Quran says that Dawood and Sulaiman, there was inheritance between them. And then she says, what's your response to that? And then he says the same hadith. 40 verses Fatima al-Zahra recites. And every time he only has one response. Allah knows what was the hikmah behind this. But maybe somebody was nearby who had said, Hasbuna kitabullah. Perhaps the book of Allah is significant and enough. And she's saying that you said the book of Allah is sufficient. I am giving you the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you're giving me a hadith? This was Fatima al-Zahra. But that speech of Fatima al-Zahra never neglected. She says, recognize me, I am Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad. She's referring to the people there. She's in particular, she said, you used to drink the filthy water and you used to eat the eaten food that had been dismissed. You didn't know right from wrong. You were in darkness. My father brought you into light. And she was exposing them one after the other. And then they came forward. And she's essentially telling them, you're going to tell me? She was exposing. But the reality of the matter is, it wasn't just about this. It was a deeper meaning. Remember, Ghadir, Fadak, Karbala, Zahur, they're all connected. These discussions must take place in an academic environment where we make sure our children know what happened. They know what the truth is. They know what the reality is, because there may come a time where people don't know why Shia Aqidah, what Shia Aqidah is, how it emerged, and what the truth and the reality of the matter is. This is what we need to be careful of. This is what we need to be cognizant of. This is what we need to be mindful of, because big prices have been paid. And big prices will be paid. As the time of the Imam Zuhur gets closer and nearer, we will be sifted, the hadith says. You know how gold is sifted? We will be sifted and sifted and sifted until there's very few left. Very few left. It's very easy to say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, allow us to be amongst Imam Sahib Nasr Zaman's army. It's very difficult to do. Very difficult to do. Because this issue of Fadak was not just a land. The Imam was asked, one of the Khalifas wanted to give it back many years later. He said, I want to give back Fadak. What's Fadak? It's a land by Khaybar? He said, no, Fadak is not a land by Khaybar. He said, Fadak is the four corners of the universe. You can't give it back if you wanted to. That was the haqq of Zahra. And they asked, why didn't they give it back? Ibn Abil Hadid al-Mu'tazili. You know Ibn Abil Hadid al-Mu'tazili? He wrote Sharh Nahj al-Balagha. Ahl Sunnah scholar, not Shia scholar. Ahl Sunnah scholar. You know what he says? In his commentary, he says the issue of Fadak. You know what it was about? He gives an example. He gives a story. True story. He says there was a teacher in a class, and he would ask the students, he would tell them to prepare for a test. And as he would tell them to prepare for the test, he would tell them to recite the alphabet. Alif, ba, ta, all the way down. The child would say Alif. The student would say Alif. He said, okay. And he says again, next, ba. Okay. Ta. He wouldn't know ta. So he would strike him. And then he would continue. And every letter he didn't know, he would strike. Every letter he didn't know, he would strike. Continuous. Up until the point that he got to one student and he told the student, recite. He said, I don't know. He said, you don't know the first letter? He said, I don't know. He said, well, I'm not going to waste my time with you, and on the next one. His classmates came up to him. He said, look, hold on. You've been studying for 2-3 months with us, and you said you didn't even know Alif. Why didn't you say that? He said, I know all the letters, but I didn't know some of the middle ones. But if I told him that I don't know from the beginning, he won't go and progress further and keep hitting me and beating me. He left me from the get-go. He said the issue of Fadak was like this. It was the Alif of the matter. If they gave Fadak, they would have to give back Bay'at Ali ibn Abi Talib. That was the issue. That was the reality of the matter. That was the fact of the matter. Don't ever forget that Ghadir, this is why we remember Karbala. People say, why do you still cry? Why do you still commemorate? Why do you cry? It happened 1400 years ago. We don't want to forget. We don't want you to forget Karbala the same way you forgot Ghadir. The same way you forgot Ghadir. Don't ever forget it. The poet says, Falak pe likha hua वाकया गदीर का है फलक पे लिखा हुआ वाकया गदीर का है ये आफताब ने The sun was at its peak on that day. ये आफताब नहीं हाशिया गदीर का फलक पे लिखा हुआ वाकया गदीर का है ये आफताब नहीं हाशिया लगाने और दलील बैत फासिक रवा रखी गई थी दलील बैत फासिक रवा रखी गई थी मदीने में बिनाए करबला रखी गई थी बिना मीन्स फाउंडेशन दलील बैत फासिक रवा रखी गई थी مدینے میں بنائے کربلا رکھی گئی تھی. اور بہت مشکل مراحل آ پڑے تھے راستے میں، بہت مشکل مراحل آ پڑے تھے راستے میں، سوزاد راہ میں خاک شفا رکھی گئی تھی. بہت مشکل مراحل آ پڑے تھے راستے میں، سوزاد راہ میں خاک شفا رکھی گئی تھی. اور لٹ کے آباد ہے اب تک جو وہ گھر کس کا ہے، سب سے اونچا ہے جو کٹ کر بھی وہ سر کس کا ہے. لٹ کے آباد ہے اب تک جو وہ گھر کس کا ہے، سب سے اونچا ہے جو کٹ کر بھی وہ سر کس کا ہے. ظلم شبیر کی ہیبت سے نہ لرزے کیوں کر، ظلم شبیر کی ہیبت سے نہ لرزے کیوں کر، کس نبی کا ہے نواسا یہ پسر کس کا ہے. ظلم شبیر کی ہیبت سے نہ لرزے کیوں کر، کس نبی کا ہے نواسا یہ پسر کس کا ہے. اور کس کے ہجرت کے تسلسل سے شریعت ہے رواں، قافلہ آج تلک شہر بدر کس کا ہے. اور کس نے مقتل کی زمین چھو کے معلّہ کر دی، اللہ اکبر، کس نے مقتل کی زمین چھو کے معلّہ کر دی، پوچھنا کرب و بلا سے یہ ہنر کس کا ہے. کس نے مقتل کی زمین چھو کے معلّہ کر دی، پوچھنا کرب و بلا سے یہ ہنر کس کا ہے. اور تخت والوں نے مورخ بھی خریدے ہوں گے، تخت والوں نے مورخ بھی خریدے ہوں. ذکر دنیا ذکر دنیا میں مگر شام و سحر کس کا ہے. اور لاش اکبر پہ قضا سوچ رہی ہے اب تک، لاش اکبر پہ قضا سوچ رہی ہے اب تک، جس میں ٹوٹی ہے یہ برچی وہ جگر کس کا ہے. لاش اکبر پہ قضا سوچ رہی ہے اب تک، جس میں ٹوٹی ہے یہ برچی وہ جگر کس کا ہے. اور کون ہر شام غم شہ میں لہو روتا ہے، کون ہر شام غم شہ میں لہو روتا ہے، آسمانوں سے ادھر دیدہ تر کس کا ہے. کون ہر شام غم شہ میں لہو روتا ہے، آسمانوں سے ادھر دیدہ تر کس کا ہے. امام صاحب العصر والزمان, he is awaiting to revenge the martyrdom of his grandmother. Allahu Akbar. The difficulty, the travesty that he's gone through. The difficulty, it's not easy. It's very difficult. The musibah of Fatima Zahra is not easy. They're difficult. The poet says, Uthega shor safe karzar se bhago. Uthega shor safe karzar se bhago. برس رہی ہے اجل ذوالفقار سے بھاگو. صدا کسی کی نبی کے دیار سے بھاگو. کوئی کہے گا نکل کر مزار سے بھاگو. کوئی کہے گا نکل کر مزار سے بھاگو. اما نہیں کہیں کارزار ہستی میں کچار چھوڑ، اما نہیں کہیں کارزار ہستی میں کچار چھوڑ کے شیر آ گیا ہے بستی میں. This lion is none other than Ibn Sahra, Imam Sahib al-Asri al-Zaman, who is awaiting to avenge. We are told there's a moment in time. The tragedy and the calamity is very great of Fatima al-Zahra. Allahu Akbar. We're told when this happens, Fatima al-Zahra, 2.5 hours she was standing in front pleading her case. When she's pleading her case, no one asked Fatima al-Zahra to sit even for a moment. That Fatima, whenever she would enter in front of Rasulullah in a gathering, Rasulullah would stand up and he would tell Fatima, Fatima, sit where I am sitting. And he would not sit down until Fatima sat down. This Fatima stood in front of the people pleading her case, and they didn't give her and listen to anything that she had to say. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Do you know what happened? May Allah bless you. May Allah reward you. And may Allah never show you or your families this day. They came to the house of Ali ibn Abi Talib, and they say, people say Ali didn't do anything. Ali, Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, came to the door. He told them, I am writing a tafsir of the Quran. Don't send anyone anymore. I've told you, I'm not interested in giving bay'ah. They went back. The messenger sent the message. They said that we will go to the house of Ali ibn Abi Talib. At least 6 people gathered together. They went. I'm not saying this Shibli Nu'mani is not a Shia scholar. In Al-Faruq, Sunni scholar is saying they might have taken fire and wood to the house of Fatima. They didn't try to use it. They didn't intend to use it, but they may have tried to intimidate. You bring fire to the house of Fatima Zahra and you try to give an excuse or pass to someone, to the daughter of Rasulullah. Allahu Akbar. They brought fire and they brought wood. They said, send out Abu Hassan. When they said, send out Abu Hassan, Fatima al-Zahra came to the door. When Fatima al-Zahra came to the door, at that point in time, we are told, they said, send out Abu Hassan. Fatima said, in this house are Hassan and Hussein. They said, Wa'in, and let it be. She said, in this house is Sayyidatun Nisa al-Alameen. I'm in this house. This is the house of Risala. They said, let it be. At that point in time, the Fatima did not let them open the door. At that point in time, the nails in the door. She began to wail, Ajrukum ala Allah, Ajrukum ala Allah. It's very difficult to cry continuously. I understand this. Ayatollah Shahabuddin Najafi Marashi, the one who I had mentioned to you before, after he died, there were some of his writings that were published. In his writings, they found that one night in his dream, he says, I saw a vision and I had a close relationship with Imam Sahib al Zaman. He says, do you know what I saw in my dream? He says, I saw that I was in a room and I saw that on the musalla there was my Imam. I proceeded towards him. He was looking down, seated at the musalla. He was looking down in front of him. I approached my Imam. It was Imam Sahib al-Zaman. He said, Sayyid Shahabuddin, do you know what this is? He said, Shahabuddin, these are names that struck my mother, grandmother Fatima al-Zahra. Ajrukum ala Allah, Ajrukum ala Allah. At that point in time, Fatima al-Zahra's child had been aborted. The child had been diseased. Muhsin, he had left. Fatima al-Zahra, she had given her wasiyah to Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. They came together because Fatima al-Zahra said, Ya Ali, I won't be here for very long. Because when Rasulullah was departing, he said that I am leaving this world. And I began to cry. And when I began to cry, Rasulullah called me near. And when he called me near, he said something in my ear. And I began to smile. In that point in time, Ali said, Fatima, what did Rasulullah say the second time? He said that Fatima, I'm leaving, but you will be the first person who joins me after my Fatima became happy that she would not have to be separated. But someone asked the heart of Ali ibn Abi Talib that he just lost Rasulullah. Now he has to lose Fatima al-Zahra. Fatima al-Zahra said, Ya Ali, Awasiya, listen to, what is it? What is it? Is there anything that I can do, Fatima? Fatima says, yes, Ali, my wasiya. Number one, I want you to give me ghusl and you to give me kafan, and I I want you to bury me, and I want you to make sure that you do it in the middle of the night. Very well, Fatima, I will do it. What else? She says, I want you to make sure that those people that I am angry with, those people that I am upset with, none of them come to my funeral. He says, I accept. Number three, Abu Hassan, my children, Hassanain, my children, be gentle with them. It's very difficult to lose a mother. Ali ibn Abi Talib says, they are my children as well. At that point in time, she says, Abu Hassan, one more thing. After you bury me, make sure you don't forget about me. Come and visit my grave once in a while. At that point in time, Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen began to cry. He said, Fatima, I also have some wishes to give you. She says, Abu Hassan, what is it? He says, number one, Fatima, when we got married, I didn't have much. I was poor. Do not complain to your father that I was not able to give you whatever you needed. Fatima began to cry. She said, Abu Hassan, when did I ask anything of you? At that point in time, Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen says, I accept. Number two, he says, Fatima, soon you will meet Rasulullah. Tell Rasulullah what you went through. Tell him what went through your heart. At that point in time, he said, number three, Fatima, I will say salam on your grave once in a while. But أجركم على الله. أجركم على الله. أجركم على الله. Someone ask the heart of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, because Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, he came in the dream of a reciter. The reciter was reciting the musibah of Imam Hassan, and at that night Imam Hassan comes into his dream, and he says, oh Zakir, why do you not tell people my musibah? Why do you not tell people my calamity? At that point in time, he says, Yabna Rasulullah, I tell them how the arrows riddled your body after you were dead. I tell them how the poison went through your body and you began to vomit out your organs. I tell them about all the calamities. He says, you don't tell them about my greatest calamity. I was a 7-year-old. أجركم على الله. أجركم على الله. There was a majlis being recited, a majlis was being recited, and when the majlis was being recited, Zakir recited the musibah of Sayyidatun Nisa al-Alameen. When he recited the musibah of Sayyidatun Nisa al-Alameen, one person remained crying during Niyaz, during Fatiha, during Tabarruk. Everyone left. He was still crying. Allah went to him directly. أجركم على الله أجركم على الله. These tears will speak on يوم القيامة. These tears will speak on يوم القيامة. أجركم على الله. It's very difficult to continuously cry. Who knows who will make it till next year. Give your condolences to صاحب العصر والزمان, to Imam al-Zaman, for his grandmother Fatima al-Zahra. Do you know what happened when Imam Amir al-Mu'minin gave ghusl and he gave kafan and he began to wail at night when he gave ghusl and kafan? And they say, Tashafa, Ashma, Ya If anyone else who was her ribs had been broken. She didn't tell me. أجركم على الله أجركم على الله. آخری جملہ دو جملے میں عرض کر رہا ہوں. تصور شرط ہے. يا مهدي أدركني يا ابن الزهراء أدركني يا زهراء ماتم حسين يا حسين. يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين ہائے زہرا ہائے زہرا ہائے زہرا ہائے زہرا ہائے زہرا ہائے زہرا رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عزا ہائے زہرا ہائے زہرا رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عزا ہائے زہرا ہائے زہرا رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عزا ہائے زہرا ہائے زہرا رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عزا ہائے زہرا ہائے زہرا بابا کو تجھے نہ رونے دیا بابا کو تجھے نہ رونے دیا ہے مخدومہ ہے مظلومہ رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عزا ہے زہرا ہے زہرا رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عزا ہے زہرا بابا کو تجھے نہ رونے دیا بابا کو تجھے نہ رونے دیا ہے مخدومہ ہے مظلومہ رو کر کہتے ہیں اہل عزا ہے زہرا ہے زہرا رو کر ماشاءاللہ ہے زہرا ہے زہرا سوکھے بھی نہیں
آنسو تیرے اب اور رلانے آئے ہیں. تیرے بابا کی امت ہی دروازہ جلانے آئی ہے. پہلو پہ گرایا دروازہ، پہلو پہ گرایا دروازہ، ہے مخدومہ ہے مظلومہ، رو کر کہتے ہیں رضا ہے زہرا ہے زہرا، رو کر کہتے ہیں رضا ہے زہرا ہے زہرا، رو کر کہتے ہیں رضا ہے زہرا ہے زہرا. دروازہ گرایا ہے ایسے پسلی بھی تمہاری ٹوٹ گئی، ظالم نے تمہارے چہرے پر مارا ہے تماشا شہزادی. محسن بھی تیرا زندہ نہ رہا، محسن بھی تیرا زندہ نہ رہا، ہے مخدومہ ہے مظلومہ، رو کر کہتے ہیں رضا ہے زہرا ہے زہرا، رو کر کہتے ہیں رضا ہے زہرا ہے زہرا، رو کر کہتے ہیں رضا ہے زہرا ہے زہرا. چھین لیا تیرا بی بی جب یاد کبھی آتا ہے، سوچوں جو کبھی میں وہ منظر دل بھی یہ میرا تھر آتا ہے. دربار میں تجھ کو جھٹلایا، دربار میں تجھ کو جھٹلایا، ہے مخدومہ ہے مظلومہ، رو کر کہتے ہیں رضا ہے زہرا ہے زہرا، رو کر کہتے ہیں رضا ہے زہرا ہے زہرا، رو کر کہتے ہیں رضا ہے زہرا ہے زہرا. ہوتے تھے فرشتے اور نبی تابوت اٹھایا ہے در نے، میت کو تیری تنہائی میں جب دفن کیا تھا ہے در نے. ہوتا تھا جنت میں نوحہ، ہوتا تھا جنت میں نوحہ، ہے مخدومہ ہے مظلومہ، رو کر کہتے ہیں رضا ہے زہرا ہے زہرا، رو کر کہتے ہیں رضا ہے زہرا ہے زہرا، رو کر کہتے ہیں رضا ہے زہرا ہے زہرا. اس طرح کریم بیان کرو ٹوٹی جو قیامت زہرا پہ، دن پر وہ مصائب پڑھنے کو تاریک شبوں میں ڈھل جاتے، ہے واویلا ہے واویلا ہے واویلا ہے واویلا، ہے مخدومہ ہے مظلومہ، رو کر کہتے ہیں رضا ہے زہرا ہے زہرا، رو کر کہتے ہیں رضا ہے زہرا ہے جو علم کر وہ بلا تھا، بابا سے ملنے کو چلی ام ایہا، آنکھوں سے لہو بہتا ہے، پہلو ہے شکستہ، یا فاطمہ زہرا زہرا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا فاطمہ زہرا یا فاطمہ زہرا امت نے بہت آپ کو تڑپایا ہے بی بی ہر حق کے لیے آپ کو ترسایا ہے بی بی قاسم نے تو دربار میں بلوایا ہے بی بی اس دکھ سے لرزنے لگا خود عرش خدا کا یا فاطمہ زہرا 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 سینے میں ازل سے ہی میرے کرب و بلا ہے جاتے ہوئے زہرا نے یہ دنیا سے کہا ہے کیا شام میں ہونا ہے یہ سب مجھ کو پتا ہے تپتے ہوئے صحرا میں ہے شبیر کا لاشا ہے یا فاطمہ زہرا 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 یہ کام رہا صدیوں سے بس اہل عزا کا پیاسوں کے لیے بہتا رہا اشکوں کا دریا شبیر کا پرسا دیا زہرا کو ہمیشہ شبیر کو دو مادر شبیر کا پرسا یا فاطمہ زہرا 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 اب دل سے قمر وار سے زہرا کو بلاؤ آمال ہی مرکز پر بہت اشک بہاؤ اے ملتقی میں گئے وہ بلا پردہ اٹھاؤ محسن کی لہر بن گیا پہلو ہے شکستہ یا فاطمہ زہرا 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 عابد بیمار تھا وہ عابد بیمار تھا چلنے سے جو لاچار تھا چلنے سے جو لاچار تھا شام کا بازار تھا شام کا بازار تھا ہر مصطفیٰ کی بیٹیاں مولا امام یا حسن یا حسین مولا امام یا حسن یا حسین مولا امام یا حسن یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین شبیر کی وہ لاڈلی شبیر کے بڑے وہ لاڈلی سینے پہ جو شاہ کے پلی سینے پہ جو شاخ پلی جس کی بن میں جلی جس کی بن میں جلی منہ پر تماچوں کے نشان مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین بر محمد و آل محمد بلندر سلام یا حضرت عباس روزے پہ بلا لو بہت دور ہو تم سے روزے پہ بلا لو مل کے پڑھے یا حضرت روزے پہ بلا لو بہت دور ہو تم سے روزے پہ دنیا میں کہاں تیرے سوا کوئی سہارا جیتے جی اگر نہیں روزہ تمہارا نہیں روزہ تمہارا تو دور میں تم سے نہیں رہ پاؤں گا زندہ دل غم سے بھرا ہے تمہیں آ کر میں سناؤں یا حضرت عباس روزے پہ بہت دور اور سقائے حرم رب کی قسم سن لو دعا کو اے ابن علی اب میری امداد کو پہنچو امداد کو پہنچو کب تک میں یوں ہی لکھوں گا اشکوں سے عریضہ دل غم سے بھرا ہے تمہیں آ کر میں سناؤں یا حضرت روزے پہ بلا لو بہت دور ہو تم سے روز اب واسطہ پہلو شکستہ ہے تم کو آخر میں بس اب واسطہ زہرا ہے تم کو زہرا کا ہے تم کو روزے پہ بلا کر سنو سلمان سے نوحہ دل غم سے بھرا ہے تمہیں آ کر میں سناؤں یا حضرت عباس روزے پہ بلا لو بہت دور ہو تم سے روزے پہ بلا لو برائے تاجیل ظہور امام زمان بلندر سلام
السلام عليك يا رسول الله السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي هلت بفدائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر الأحد من ليل زيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين، خصوصا سيدي ومولاي أبا الفضل العباس بن أمير المؤمنين وقاسم بن الحسن ومسلم بن أخيل وهاني بن عروة وحبيب بن مظاهر والحر الشهيد الرياضي. السلام عليكم يا شهداء كربلاء جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا شمس الشموس وأنيس النفوس أيها المدفون بأرض توس، الرضا المرتضى الراز بالخزر والخزاء، مولانا علي بن موسى الرضا، كن شفيعنا وشفيع والدي في يوم الجزاء. وفقنا الله لزيارتك يا مولاه ورزقنا الله شفاعتك في الدنيا والآخرة، وعلى أختك فاطمة المعصومة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب الأسر والزمان، أحسن الله لك الأذى في جدك فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا السلام عليك يا صاحب الأسر والزمان، الأمان الأمان الأمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا، حتى تسكنه أرزك توعا وتمتعه فيها سويا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. على أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات ثواب الفاتحة.